Okay.
Well, thanks so much, Dennis. And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Bay Area Content Marketing Meetup. I'm Rich Schwerin, co-organizer, and it's my pleasure today to introduce someone who just about a year ago presented AI to this group. And amazing how much AI has changed in a year. Our longtime meetup organizer, friend, and colleague, Rosemary Briscoe. Rosemary is the owner of To The Web. That's a digital marketing agency in Vancouver, Canada. In January of last year, Rosemary watched as ChatGPT, and I think we all watched, reshape marketing. And she conducted her first AI training course in February 2023, which had more than 350 RSVPs. Now, Rosemary, I understand your main focus is providing essential AI training for marketers, sales teams, and designers to navigate this whole disruption. So this is great. I feel like we're getting free training here today, but yet
Yes.
you have more training, and I know you chatted a link there. I think the bottom line is, we were talking about this. There's no instruction manual. Manuals, they couldn't keep up with the pace of change. So anyway, that's why I think people need training. So check out that in her newsletter in the link. So now, without further delay, welcome, Rosemary. Take it away.
Thanks, Rich and Dennis. So first of all, I am thrilled to be here. I have a great program for you in the next hour. I'd like it to be really interactive, so please ask me questions. And I'm going to teach you now how to become an advanced user. And, as Rich just said, there are no manuals, and there couldn't be manuals because it's changing from week to week anyway. And what I'm going to show you is how to create content at scale. So today we're going to do brainstorming and content ideation. We're going to map personas to goals and pain points. And we're going to define topics, subtopics. We're going to find keywords. We'll go on to create our first content outlines. We'll use a few tools to do that. And then we'll even create some content. I'll show you how to do a bit of market research, not only for just market research, but also for your competitors. And then in the last 10 minutes, provided I don't forget, I want to circle back and talk about legal and ownership issues. So after 15 months of ChatGPT, we now have an abundance of data that proves that using AI tools allows you to complete more tasks faster. But I think the biggest benefit that we're now seeing is that you get higher quality work. It basically just takes the heavy lifting out of mundane tasks. So many of the things that I'm going to show you today cannot be done with the free version. So I'm going to strongly encourage you to upgrade to one of the two paid versions here. So let me just tell you about them. So first of all, we have the Teams version, which is fairly new. I think it just came out last month. And the Plus version, which perhaps many of you are already on that. And in your surveys, a lot of people said that their companies won't pay for ChatGPT. So even if your company won't pay for this $20, your time is worth so much more than that. So I strongly encourage you to give this a shot. The other great thing about upgrading is that you get access to GPT-4, which is the fastest, smartest model. You're going to be able to use DALL-E 3 to create images, and you can use advanced data analysis for all your data crunching. You can also do really cool things like upload tons of documents and ask ChatGPT to summarize them for you. Now with Teams, the great benefit of Teams, and it only takes 2 people to be a team, is that by default, you get data privacy built right in. Compared to Plus, which means you have to, in each device you're using ChatGPT, you have to go in and set that privacy setting. So if you're going to upgrade to Plus, which is $20 a month, go over here and go to this link and make a privacy request. When you get to that stage, just select I'm a consumer, do not train on my content. I think you'll find it pretty easy to go through that. Any questions? All right. Well, I consider AI to be a gift to marketers. I'm going to show you how to create a repeatable content creation framework. So we're no longer doing content creation the way we used to do. I'm going to take you from concept to content in one session. So what used to take days will now take a few hours. So I'm going to call on Michael Menduno, who's been writing for major news outlets for decades, to tell me how you start an engagement. Are you there, Michael?
I am. Hi there.
Okay.
That's right. Yep.
So can you just tell us, like, when you get a request to write some new content, what does that look like to you?
Yeah, so it varies, and I write for companies, for content creation for their website as well as for publications. And I have my own in-depth that I'm the editor-in-chief of in the diving space, underwater space. Anyway, very often with clients, it'll just be a topic. Gee, we want to do something on cryptocurrency, or payment orchestration, or whatever it is, and often it's left to me, and they may be have a little more detail about the aspects they want to cover, but then it's usually up to me or the writer to flush out the story, what the ideas are, and the like. So which is different than the other way, which is pitching stories, which is probably more common with magazines. Though sometimes with clients, you can see a topic that's really important that they, whatever their product or service relates to, and that they should have something about this. And then it's a little different because I'm pitching to them and maybe looking for ideas of story angles, if you will.
Well, thank you. So that means you're the one who's often going out and then figuring out, based on some, very broad question, how to drill down into that, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. All right. So from here, what I'm going to show you here is a new way to create content that you can then create at scale. We call this the iterative prompting framework. And this is what I'm going to show you will allow you to guide the AI through a whole process of prompting, answers, and reprompting. What I'm really trying to show you here is how to have a back and forth dialogue between you and the AI. So in this little scenario that I'm showing on the screen, I'm going to start with the brainstorming part. And I have just a very short prompt. This is only 70 words. I'm going to ask the bot how to do that. I have to do a 2,000 word blog post on cybersecurity. I'm telling it what I hope to do. With that, I want to educate my customers. I'm asking it to give me topics and subtopics in priority. And what can you suggest? Separately, give me a list of topics. So there's a lot of good information in there. And then once I get that input, I can then go on to asking the bot to identify the pain points of each of our personas. I'm asking it in this prompt to search the internet and list the recent high-profile case studies we should present, and to highlight news stories that cite cyber attacks. So here's where you run into the problem. If you just have the free version, you can't ask the bot to go out and look at news stories. I can ask it to give me keywords, which is really helpful. And even though the keywords are they're not coming from, say, Google Ads, where you get, numbers and data. What I have found are the keywords are pretty darn good. And I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this in the demo. Then our next step is to go on to online research. And this is another really cool thing. And you can only do this with the paid version. So remember, the bot's already done the brainstorming exercise. It knows our pain points, keywords, and throughout these first 3 steps, I've been able to do additional back and forth dialogue. So the bot is just collecting this amount of data about this topic. And then I'm going to ask it to do online research. I'm going to ask it to tell me what topics I'm missing in my own content compared to competitor data. And it's going to do a really good job of that. And then I'll go on and ask for a content outline and a first draft. And what makes this process so cool is that I can then go and take all the output of this, and I'm going to show you what I can do with that. I can now, come on. I can now share the output of everything I've worked on with other people. So this is the output of that entire thread. So I'm anonymous. This is the bot. It's giving me topics, subtopics, personas, what type of content we should be creating. Here's a very cool thing. Within my custom instructions, which I'll discuss in a moment, I have asked it to give me follow-up topics, questions. And I always read these questions to see if there's anything else I want to engage the bot with. So now I have a whole lot of information that I can scan. I can keep this URL, I don't know how long you can keep it, but a long time. And everything is right here. Let's see, is this our content outline? So I'm asking it for new topics. It's giving me new topics that are current as of 2024. I'm going on to ask it to give me, okay, so this is a very detailed prompt, which I'm going to show you in a moment, but we can give it a lot of information and it's going to come back with our content outline. And then we can carry on all the way to asking it to write some content for us. Okay, any questions about that? Because that's kind of the core of what I want to teach you is how to do these frameworks.
Yeah, I was just going to chat you, but I'll just ask you. So when you say you can share that URL, like you could literally chat it to me and I could click it? Is it addressable outside of your team?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
And then let me show you how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, just put it in the chat. We could click on it if you want. Up to you.
Oh, yes, I can put it in the chat.
And then it gets to your next point about, and they last, so I do want to know about like the shelf life. I'll have to investigate. Is it impermanent? Like at some point, does it expire? Anyway.
So I don't know that answer.
That's fine.
As with all the things with AI, there's very little information. However, you can delete those. So I am assuming that they last for a while.
Okay.
And besides, you could just generate a PDF of it, right? And keep it if you wanted to. So did everybody see that in the chat?
Yeah, I get a fail, but let's not derail. It could be client-side error for me.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Carry on.
Okay. Any other questions?
Rosemary, I tried the link and it said it's not found. Do you have to be a ChatGPT 4 subscriber to see your thread?
Oh, yes.
And
I am.
I'm a.
Oh.
So.
So it's very possible that the link I gave is wrong for some reason.
Not to derail. I know you got a lot to
Yes.
cover in the hour. I do see a question from Christina Elwood. Christina?
Just a quick question, Rosemary. On the links, I get an error when I have followed this flow. I get an error on those links that it can't look at links, and I'm on a paid subscription, ChatGPT 4.
That is an excellent question. You know what to do when that happens? You just say continue. If it still can't do it when you say continue, then you refresh. You may have to log out and ask the question again.
Okay. And I can do that within the same flow.
Yes. Well, not if you log out. You can't do that. But you can take that information that you have there and you'll have to put it back in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but oftentimes just saying, I mean, sometimes you really have to tell the bot it can do something, right?
Huh.
I didn't know that, but thank you.
Really, I really had to struggle with it over the weekend because it wasn't doing things that it used to be able to do. So, and the way you start this is you take a project and you break down the tasks. That's what I was trying to show in this layout, is that this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find topics, build personas, keywords, do the research, find sources and quotes, and do calls to action. So when you're thinking about your new framework, this is what you want to be thinking about, this diagram here. Okay. All right, so obviously, initially, it takes more time to get this set up. But once you get this template down pat for writing a blog post or a series of emails, things go much, much, much faster. So if you want to become a prompt engineer, you have to give the bot a lot of context. You have to speak to it just like you're talking to your writer. So the more precise content you give it, the better your response is going to be. And the first place to start is to create what we call custom instructions. And they are a set of tailored instructions that allows the bot to look at those first before it responds to you. And I'm going to show you how that works. Basically, there are two sections to it. The first part is how you define your brand, your company's messaging, what you do. It's all about you in part one. Part two is how you want the bot to respond to you. You can turn this on and off, and let me just show you what that looks like. Any questions? Okay, so let me go back. So this is, I'm in Teams, and you come down here and you click on your name and you go to custom instructions. So at the top is all about to the web, okay, and the training that I do. But down here is all the information on how I would like the bot to respond. So I'm going to give you these in just 1 second, but there's a lot of things you want to be able to tell it. It doesn't mean that it is always going to do that. For example, it won't always speak in active voice, so you may have to reprompt that as you go along. For large documents, I wanted to provide summaries and sections and so on. So this is where you turn that on and you enter. You have 1,500 characters in both sections. Use them all. And you can turn this on and off. So if I'm doing client work, I will take theirs and put it in here so that the output I'm getting maps to them. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat so that, and let's see, where's the chat? Another thing to do is to save this, because I have lost it before. Okay, so, oh, it says my message is too long. Oh, that's ridiculous. Okay, so I'll put it in the chat at the end. Let's see. I'm going to try one more time. Nope, it's not going to take it. All right, so I'm happy to share that. You'll want to adapt it for you. Any questions on custom instructions? They're hugely useful. Okay. All right, so because you're not getting the slides, just take some screenshots of these next few slides, because these will help you create better prompts. These are the things that go into a great prompt, all of these things. And so in working with a lot of different people in courses, I find that lots of times people say they're not getting really good results. And that's because they're not doing what I call refinement prompts. You have to have this conversation back and forth with the bot. You may have to tell it to give you 2 examples, or be more precise, or expand, whatever it is. But I mean, I have a list that's twice this long in my head that I find really useful. All right, so these are advanced techniques. This is a good slide to take a screenshot of. But my most valuable one is really just asking the bot what I need to tell it so it will give me a better response. And it works beautifully. So try that. It's a great learning experience because you will learn after doing this many times what the bot needs you to tell it. And then you'll start doing that and it'll be much better. So any questions?
Can you do an example of how you would prompt that?
Sure, absolutely. All right, so let's take your example, Tom. Okay. So I'm telling the bot, oops, did I not get, okay. So I'm asking the bot to write the perfect cold email to Tom Trainer. Okay, I haven't given it the full prompt that I would use to do this. It's giving me way more than I want, but what I would do is tell me what else I need to tell you to give me a better response to Tom. So now it's going to tell me, so I'm Tom, for you and me, I was going to pitch you on my services. So in this case, it's telling me that I need to give a better unique value proposition for what To The Web does. I need to include some case studies, personal, something that we have as a mutual interest, and a call to action. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Rosemary, this is Christina. When it gives me an answer that I don't like and I don't want it to use it because I've got a long flow going and I want it to ignore the answer it just gave me, I'm asking it to ignore it or to rewrite it. What's the better way to handle that?
Okay, so the way I would handle that, you go back. So there's something in your prompt that made it generate that content that was inappropriate, right? So I think the best way to do that, if saying ignore this doesn't work, is you go back to your email, to your prompt, and you edit your prompt. So in this case, I might, I can then put more text in here in my, you're going to do this to your very last prompt that you just did that generated that incorrect answer. And you're going to change your prompt because it obviously wasn't good enough, right? Something about it was just not right. Or you could, you might even want to try saying something, you gave me a response that isn't appropriate for these reasons, redo this.
Well, the second thing that that's related is if it gives me an outline and I don't want it to use one section of the outline.
You can tell it to not include that when you go along.
That's what I've done. Okay.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Oops. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So a lot of people talk to me about they're not using ChatGPT because of hallucinations. Well, guess what? All models are going to hallucinate because they weren't designed to be an encyclopedia, right? They were designed to create language and to look at, to give you the next logical word in a sequence. So they were trained to give users what they want. And so they occasionally spit out information that's made up. It could be facts, it could be content, whatever. And the problem is that it's really hard to spot this because they are so convincing. I mean, they gave me a whole book title and draft, and there was no such title ever. All right, so the other thing about hallucinations is if you want to be more creative, you should really expect hallucinations, because when you want to be creative, you want lots of information, right? And you want the bot to think outside the box. So here's just a few ways to instruct the bot to help you reduce hallucinations. And all of this came from Microsoft in a session I was in with them. Any questions about that before we go live? Okay. All right. So I have my massive training document over here, and we're going to start brainstorming. So in this instance, actually, I think I'll show you the document. It might be easier to read. So in this case, I'm going to show you the prompt. I'm asking it to be, I'm telling it I'm a content creator. I want it to be a cybersecurity expert. I'm telling it exactly what I want it to do, what my goal is, who my audience is. I'm asking it for a detailed analysis. I'm asking it for a lot of stuff. So let's just show you what that looks like when you do that. I'm going to start a new chat. And so the great thing about this is if you define your goals really well and identify your target audience, you're going to start getting some really great content back. So it's now giving me, I asked it for a broad list of potential topics. So it's going to carry on here with a list of topics.
Hey, Rosemary, if you had two different businesses, you know, like travel agency and a B2B SaaS company, to have those personas and the instructions, would you have to change the instructions when you came in each time?
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, you're going to put that into, you're going to keep that in a Word document, and, you know, you just revert, because I have to keep customers, you know, custom instructions, right?
Would you consider using a custom GPT for individual instances of customers so you don't have to do that? Or
You could, but then you have to set all that up. I mean, that's a great point. You can do that. We're not covering GPTs today, but yes, you could certainly do that. You can set up a back and forth, and if we have time, I'll show you some that I've created. Okay, so now it's given me the pain points. It's given me a whole lot of topics to consider. And now I'm going to keep chatting with it. So here's what I'm going to ask it. I'm going to tell it that I want to understand how these pain points vary across different sectors, finance, healthcare, whatever. And it's going to go through the whole process of telling me that. Okay, so if you were a writer, what would you do after receiving this content? How might you prompt the next prompt? What would you want to do once you have had this? So you're a cybersecurity company, you're looking at writing this 2,000-word blog post. You now have information across different sectors. Okay, I'm going to show you something really cool. Okay, one thing you can do, there's this Chrome extension called Chat Hub, and it allows me to take a prompt and get responses across all the major LLMs. So it's really nice when you're gathering all your information to go and look at this. And then if you see points that you haven't seen before, then you just drop those into your interface. Okay. All right.
Do you have to be a member of some of them, or are you kind of by default?
So this one is free. It's just a chat. It's just an Chrome extension. It works great. Okay. All right. So let's go back here. So another thing I might do is I might ask it to, whoops, wrong one. I'm going to ask it what the most relevant cybersecurity stories are, but I'm also going to go at the same time, and I'm going to go to Perplexity, and I'm going to ask it the same question. And the thing I like about Perplexity, so I typically use 3 LLMs. I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, and I use Perplexity. What's great about Perplexity is that you get all these news stories, and you can see all of them here, the sources that were used to generate this. And that allows you to continue to build in your content outline, right? And this is what ChatGPT is giving me back, and it's gone out to the internet, so you can now look at the sources that generated this content. Next, any questions?
You ever get the hang up of this content's too long? Like I'll give you the outline, but I won't write the full article.
Well, I never, ever have it write a whole article, because that would just give you, you know, something really bland in general. So I'm going to show you how I would write content if I was doing that. So the next part is keyword research. So I've asked it to give me in a table the keywords. And also you can ask it here, you can ask it to give you this as a .csv file, and so you can download this as well.
Rosemary,
And another,
did you share what you learned from Perplexity with ChatGPT here, or did I miss a step?
oh no, I'm just looking at another LLM to see if there's anything here that I might want to say, you know, I want to include this story in my content outline, right? I want to write about this, okay? All right, so another cool thing to do is to go over to this tool called WordCrafter. It is in beta right now, so you have to have an invitation. So go to this URL and ask to be invited. This is a fellow in Berlin. And what this tool does is it scrapes the top 10 organic results from Google, and it tells you what should be in your content for a given set of keywords. So let's look at prepaid debit cards. So here I now have a content outline that this tool has suggested based on the content that was returned in an organic search. So what I do with this is I look at this and I say, are there topics here that I want to include in mine? And then I would copy some of that information over. Okay. Any questions?
Bigger question beyond WordCrafter.
Nice that Google is still valuable, though.
I was going to say, like SEO tactics of yesterday. How do they apply in an SGE world? Like,
Yes.
if we're
You'll
not
never
doing,
have to
you
do
know,
again.
query search scroll on SERP, and it's more, you know, AI, then to me it's a whole new world of SEO.
It is a whole new world of SEO, and I don't think we'll get a chance to dive
Not
into
today.
that.
Not today.
But because I think nobody outside of Google knows for sure exactly how it's going to be. Here in Canada, we can't get labs.google.com, so I can't even see what they're planning. I used to be able to see it with a VPN, but I can't right now. So I see somebody else's hand up.
Yeah, hi Rosemary, it's Nathania. Yeah, this might be something kind of we can't address here because it's SEO related, but wanted to understand if we're like, if we can see like how is this taking into account how competitive these keywords are?
No, it doesn't. It's only looking at the keywords that are being used in the content that's in its knowledge base, right? Okay. Which is hugely valuable. In fact, some of these keywords, so I've been doing a whole bunch of tests on these, and I think I might have asked for long tail keywords, high value keywords. So, these aren't the usual, what clients give you, like 2-word phrases often, right? And so there's probably no chance you're going to rank for a 2-word phrase, unless you are a huge brand. So these are longer phrases that you're likely going to have a better chance if you write really great content, right? And we all know that phrases that are 3-4 words long often have lower search volumes. That doesn't mean they're not appropriate for your content. All right, so the next phase of this is creating a content outline. So I haven't combined any of the other learnings I gathered from looking at these other sites, which you would have done by this point, okay? So in this prompt, this is a pretty detailed prompt because now I'm getting really specific about what I want. Okay, so this is for a white.
How AI optimizes my schedule.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Somebody I think, had their mic off for a second.
Oh, okay, thanks.
AI demo.
So I'm asking it to write a content outline for a 5,000-word white paper on cybersecurity, addressing blah, 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 all these things that keep people up at night. And what I specifically want to do is I want it to address these questions. So I am giving it these questions that I want it to answer in my content outline. You could give it URLs of your competitors. There's so many things you can do at this stage that makes it hugely useful. And then what I'm going to say next, because I'm going to go on and finish the loop to content creation, is I'm going to ask it to write the content for the first question. So you never want to ask the bot to write your whole thing. You want to do it paragraph by paragraph, fix the paragraphs, because you want to have your own intelligence and creativity in your content. So this is just giving you suggestions on how you could write that content. The other great thing it does is it also gives you subheadings and so on. So you'll notice that I've said this, ensure this can't be picked up by AI detectors. So that doesn't really work. But when you ask that question, you often get content that you might like better. So that's why these are phrases that you're going to pick up and learn and add to your list, because they're going to generate something that might be more creative than if you hadn't done that. So, okay.
Can I quick say something about that?
Sure.
It's interesting how many writers I've seen who are getting accused of using like a AI when they haven't even used it.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up. I want to show you my test. Okay, so I was going to, if we had time, do show you how to create a edit a case study from beautiful.ai, which is a platform that makes amazing presentations. And so what I did was I took the output, I asked it to do something without referencing an AI detector. So I got this content. I'm just going to scroll fast so you can see. The next time I asked it to create without referencing an AI detector. Then with this sentence, instead of asking it about not being able to be detected, I then said, give me short, punchy sentences. Because one of the traits of an AI is you'll find that the sentence lengths are about the same, right? So you want to get that changed up a bit, right? And then I took our own content, which I know wasn't written by an AI. And this tool I'm showing you is writer.com. It's $18 a month. And it's a really great tool to help you improve your content. So what you would do is you take that content outline, and you drop it into here, and then you'd start writing. So the reason I'm showing you this is because they have what's called a claim detection mode. And so if you turn this on, it's going to tell you what content has been created that they believe is being created by an AI bot. And so what you learn is that it's telling you content. So this is my content from my site. It's old. It was before ChatGPT. And this detection tool is telling me that it was written with AI when it's not. So you can't believe these tools. They're not good. It's just, you just have to experiment with things. I think there's other ways to get around it by saying things like, write in variable length sentences. Okay, so I want to show you. Okay, so for the person no, we won't get into that right now. So the things I'm showing you here can be used for all kinds of different kinds of content. Today, we're basically focusing on how to write blogs and white papers and so on. Let me just show you how to share something. So here's all the work we did on this. So you go like that, and you can stay anonymous if you want. Now that I'm in a workspace, it's only going to share with my workspace people. When I was in Plus, I could share it more broadly. So that's kind of unfortunate. Okay, but if you were sharing it, you just go up here, and now you have the whole thread of everything you were working on. And so when you start to create your own framework, this is a great tool to use to look at what you wrote and see what your questions were. So moving on in the last few minutes before I go to, so here's something I did for Tom on the perfect email. So you see how maybe it's easier to look at this. So when you think of creating this prompt framework, so I highlighted from here all the things I was going to tell the bot. So you could take this prompt and just get rid of all these things. And then every time you wanted to do something like this, you just cut out, you just add whatever you have here, right? You add the company, the about us, you can add things like, the investor page, whatever. Okay. So creating marketing plans. So this is a perfect example of a time when you use that question. Let me go back here about asking the bot what it needs to know. So here's a short prompt. How can I use ChatGPT to design an overall marketing roadmap? I'll take this out. Okay. And it's going to give me, it's going to give me an outline. But I'm going to just stop it. To do that, you just click here. And I'm going to go back here and edit. And I'm going to add that other thing. That other piece of text. So now it's telling me what it needs me to tell it. So if you wanted to create a marketing outline, you're going to do this first. You're going to ask this general question with, what else do you need me to tell you? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I said I'd stop at 10:02, but I'm going to do one more. Any questions? Okay, who's ready to try this when you get off the phone? That's what I really want to know.
Woohoo.
Yes.
Good.
You got time for questions, Rosemary? There's a bunch.
Oh, there's a bunch.
I
Okay.
see hands raised here. I saw Christina's first, and then I'm also going to handle the chat. Christina, go ahead.
I was just saying I'm ready to try it. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'll lower this
Right.
hand here. I didn't
Sorry,
mean to
no
have that up.
disambiguation. Erica, was that a hand raising for question or hand raising? I'm going to try it.
I'm going to try it right after this call. I can't wait.
There you go. Good deal. A couple questions, not in any particular order. Rosemary, would you mind going back to slide 5 in your deck? Is that feasible? If I can have you navigate backwards a little bit. Martha, thank you, Martha, for joining. Appreciate you being here. Martha, if you want to get a screen, is it okay if Martha takes a screenshot of slide 5?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the
Okay.
one with the methodology where you went from step 1 through 5.
Is
Can
it
you
this
see
one?
it?
I think it's after this one.
Oh,
maybe
that
6?
one?
The one with the yeah, when it all complete.
Build
Okay,
it out. Okay.
thanks.
You know, I'm going to steal that too. Just
And you know
hang on
what
a
you can
second.
do with this?
Yeah.
Do you know that you could take a screenshot and in the paid version, you can upload this to ChatGPT and
Wow.
ask you to export all the text. Okay.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm so excited. My $20 is well spent.
Right. Good.
Awesome.
Martha, you got what you need?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then I'm on a chat here. Various folks have said, will Rosemary be sharing? And I think, Rosemary, I'm not putting you on the spot here, no obligation, but I know we're sharing a replay of this entire kit and caboodle on the YouTube. All right. There's questions. Will you share a Google Doc of the prompts, or I don't,
So those are saved for my training courses.
Understood. Okay. And there's a link to your training courses here, right? I'll make sure I have that on there.
Right.
Okay. And just remind me how those work. Are they an hour long, or is it a series, or?
So they're a little different for each one.
Okay.
We have 3 segments right now down here. One is for marketers. We do this in a 2-part sector. One is to give an introduction, because we've learned that a lot of people are still at the newbie stage. And then we go on to customized training for your company. And then we do that with a pre-event survey so that I can tailor my presentation to exactly what you need to have done. We also have it for sales and for designers.
Very good. I'll chat the link again, 7 minutes. Tom asks, what do we need to know about ownership copyright?
All right. Thank you, Tom, because I'm not a lawyer and this is a huge murky area, right? You may know that last year several authors sued OpenAI about copy infringement of taking their content from their books. Almost all of their claims were thrown out. It's just a huge area. So I think what everybody needs to understand is that ChatGPT was trained on trillions of words of text, code, images, videos, and so its output is always going to be 100% unique. You will never find the words from a prompt in Google, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't resemble existing copyright material, right? And one of the reasons I suggest that people don't use 100 tools is because every single platform has different rules, and they're changing, about ownership and copyright. So the good thing is that after a year, the Copyright Office, the US Copyright Office, came out and said that for any work to be eligible for copyright, it has to have a significant human input beyond the initial prompt. So that's pretty good guidance. I mean, it's not saying that it has to be 50% or 20%, but it has to be significant. So, that's another really, really gray area, right? So these are some ways that you can get around copyright infringement, citing sources, do your research. If something that you're going to write about looks a lot like your competitors, because you need to be careful about what you write.
Right.
And like, for example, I think Google's privacy policies are just horrible, but because you've got workplace and all kinds of things that have different privacy policies. But for Gemini, Google collects your data, so they're training on your data. But for business and enterprise, you have data protection there. And this is just an example for images. So with Midjourney, you give them a license and you own the images you create. And it varies a lot across all the different platforms of what you're allowed to do. So you can see down here that you can't just use images. It depends also on the account you have and the size. One last thing is there is huge bias, so be very careful. This is some tests I did just with images across the 4 platforms. I asked it to create images of scientists, doctors, CEOs, and truck drivers and teachers. Midjourney gave me all men. Stable Diffusion didn't do very much better. Dolly was sort of 50-50. Adobe Firefly was that probably the best. So just be aware that there's a lot of bias because there's bias in the content that's online. And just, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So Bob, would you like to just introduce our next session?
Oh, hey, thanks. Yeah, Rosemary and I are excited that we're going to share a strategy in the stage on April 3rd. We're going to talk firsthand on insights and ideas for integrating AI into your go-to-market strategy. So, you know, it's a webinar. We're going to delve into leveraging and getting some ideas on how to leverage AI to enhance your marketing efforts, streamline your sales processes, elevate your overall business performance. It's a really big subject. You know, it's actually, I'm in the process of putting together a 2-day seminar on it, but in order to focus it on what you want, we put together a pre-event survey, and we'd really like you to take a few minutes to fill that out so we can tailor the workshop to your needs. So looking forward to seeing you on April 3rd.
Can you put the link
I've
in
got
the
the
chat?
link.
Oh, you got
Yeah,
the link?
I've got the
Awesome.
link. Yeah.
Way ahead of me. Thanks,
No,
Rich.
not way ahead of me. I'm struggling to keep up. We're at time, 2 minutes. Is there one last question I might have missed either in the chat, or does anyone want to come off mute? And while we do that, thank you so much, Rosemary. What a fascinating hour. We could spend more time. Yeah, if you have thanks, chat them in there. Anybody want to link in? If Dennis is still with us, do you want to close us out, my friend?
Sure thing. Thank Rich. Also, thank you for moderating today. Rosemary, great talk as always. Looking forward to your and Bob's talk in a couple weeks. We're off next week, but we're back in 2 weeks from today on finding the stories you didn't know you had. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Great. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.